up, Cringeverse? It's Sal, aka the artist formerly known as Cringe Miku, and today we're going to be reading part 3 of that really convoluted fan fiction I've been reading. Don't worry if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, I'm gonna be summarizing everything for y'all, so don't worry. But I want to start off with a quick content warning and disclaimer. This fanfiction does romanticize domestic violence, and so there are mentions of domestic violence. I don't know if there's going to be any graphic scenes in this episode, fortunately. So I don't think we're going to have any issues with that here. But if you're sensitive to like the discussion of domestic violence, then it might be time to click off. So I just want to make that clear. And my goal here is not to normalize domestic violence and fanfiction. In fact, my goal here is to criticize this fanfiction for making light of such a horrible issue and for romanticizing it, and for projecting those qualities onto a person who is a real human being who isn't like that at all. I don't really know much about Taeyang from BTS, who is our male interest here, but I don't think he would appreciate being made to be domestically abusive. So it just seems kind of scummy. If you like him so much as a person and as a pop star, why are you writing about him being violent and difficult? So anyways, that's kind of what we're here to do, but I'm gonna try to take a light tone with it because I do think this fanfiction is pretty just ridiculous and convoluted. So I just want to make it clear that it's not okay that this is happening, but we should be talking about it, and that's why we're here. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into a summary of what's happened so far, so that way all of you lovely people who haven't been with us can just kind of be caught up on what's going on. So if you're just listening along, I would encourage you to direct your attention to the screen, because I've made some lovely graphics for y'all to understand what's going on here, because it's just ridiculous. So let's just get started, okay? So our hero is Park Miku, who starts the story on her way to a job interview with Suga from BTS for some reason. She gets the job after like 2 questions. It was a whole thing. And so she's all excited and she goes to an ice cream shop. There she runs into a little girl named Gio who has lost her parents. And because Miku's a good person, she decides to help her find her dad. Well, we find out that Gio's dad is Miku's ex-boyfriend, who is V from BTS, whose real name is Taeyang. Taeyang gets angry and runs off because Miku dumped him years ago and broke his heart. They were very close when they were dating. They were so close that Miku and Taeyang both have tattoos of each other's names on them. But Miku dumped him because his parents told her to help his career. In the years since their breakup, Taeyang got married to a woman named Sia. Gio is Sia and Taeyang's daughter. Sia passed away some time ago, but we're never really told the timeline and circumstances of her death. Anyway, Miku returns home from the ice cream shop to find that Taeyang's parents are at her house asking her father to arrange a marriage between Miku and Taeyang, because Gio, the daughter, needs a new mom after her mom passed away. Taeyang is not the best single dad, apparently. So Miku decides to agree to the marriage to make things right between her and Tai. The next day, Miku and Taeyang get married. The very next day. It's pretty crazy. So it's a pretty quick ceremony, and Suga from BTS is there. Apparently he and Taeyang are friends. Who would have thought? After the wedding, Miku moves in with Taeyang in his fancy house, and she begins doing housework. You know, she cooks, she gets Gio ready for school, she cleans, etc. Her relation with Taeyang is tense and awkward, but Tai seems happy to have extra help around the house, so it's whatever. One day, Miku is cleaning in Tai's room when she accidentally drops a photo of his late wife. The frame shatters and Taeyang becomes extremely angry. He slaps Miku so hard that she falls over and then drags her out of the room, all while Gio is watching. So that is not only an assault charge, but he's also traumatized his daughter, probably for the rest of her life. I don't know if she'll soon forget that one. Anyways, the relationship becomes even more tense, but Miku doesn't leave Taeyang, as I feel like most people would. I mean, I understand that they're married and it's kind of hard to get out of a situation like that, but she does have a support system, so she doesn't really ask anyone for help, or she doesn't really seem that upset. She actually just resolves to make him fall for her. So it's just kind of, she's strangely written. But anyways, a few days later, Miku gets a call from her friend Myra, who asks her to meet her at a cafe. We find out that Myra is a part of a family of criminals, so she's unable to get approval to marry her longtime boyfriend, Kai. So they ask Miku to come and help them get married, and she agrees. I don't really know who Myra and Kai are, or why they're being introduced to us so late. Why weren't they at Miku's wedding? Why haven't they shown up so far? Whatever. So we left off with Miku walking in on Taeyoung as he's leaving the shower. He's like shirtless and all wet and sexy. And she notices that he had her name tattoo on him replaced with Sia's name. So that's what we're gonna pick up. So I'm just gonna switch over to the fanfiction and we'll get started. You lovely folks who are watching along might notice that I've been blurring off half the screen. That's because Firefox somehow is giving me like location specific ads. So I'm not trying to dox myself. So anyways, let's just jump in and get going, okay? What are you doing here? Taeyoung asked while looking at her while Miku POV. He removed my name? And you, Miku, still caring for him. He removed you already from his life, and you wanted a small space in heart. And I'm here to ask permission from him. Why? Did he ever cared? So I care now? Man, the English definitely got worse in this chapter. Okay. Miku, he said, making me out for my thought, and I look at him and said, I just came to inform you, tomorrow I'm going to Bestie house, and I came at midnight, so take care of Gio and also prepare the breakfast, and dinner for her tomorrow is Sunday. Oh my gosh, this has gotten a lot worse. I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying. She said, and he nodded. I was about to go, but stopped when he called me from behind. Miku, he said, and I turned back and he said, yes, I said, looking confused. I'm sorry for last night. I shouldn't slap you. I did wrong, and I don't deserve forgiveness, but if you can, then please, he said while looking down. Okay, well, that's a good start. Not great, but it's good, and he's trying. So I'm just glad he's making an effort to make amends here. Good for him. Who am I to you that you're asking for forgiveness? I'm just your nothings to you, so let it be that, Miku said, and went from there. Fair enough. Fair enough, Miku. He hasn't been treating you great, so I'm with you on this one. My heart aches looking at her. Oh, we're back to Tai, by the way. My heart ached looking at her. Why? Why I think I'm doing wrong. Why I think she did nothing. Whenever I see her, I forget everything. When I slapped her, my heart felt apart. He closed his eyes as a tear escaped from his eyes, and then he looked at himself in the mirror, and then his gaze fell on his tattoo. Did she saw this? Did she really saw that? But why I care? She left me when I need her the most. She left behind me. Okay, we're going to a flashback, guys, all right? Picture like the ripple effect. Tai is sitting on Miku's lap while Miku is caressing his hair gently. Then Tai said, Miku, I love you so much. Oh, I think he's laying his head on her lap. Miku, I love you so much, he said while staring at her eyes deeply as she also doing the same, and then she smiled and said, me too, she said, then gave a passionate kiss on his lips. Then they broke the kiss. Miku, let's get married, he said, while Miku smiled and said, okay, but first do what your mom says you, she said. Well, that is just top 10 most romantic proposals of all time. That was great. She want me to become CEO, but I think I'm too younger for this. I'm just 24. I need some time, he said. Okay, then let's talk with our parents for this, she said. Then Tai nodded with a smile and gave her a quick peek on her forehead. Time skip at night. Tai and Miku told everything to their parents, and Tai's parents called Miku Appa to their house for dinner. That's her dad. They reached and the maid opened the door, and then Mr. and Mrs. Kim greeted them, and then they chit-chat for some times, while Miku and Tai both smiling looking at each other. Then after dinner, Tai and Miku parents sit on the couch for talk, while Tai and Miku both standing close to each other while holding hands. Mr. Kim, as you know that my Miku and your Tai both love each other, and I don't have any problem with that, so please tell me your agreement too, Mr. Park said while looking at them. Then Mr. Kim is about to say something, but Mrs. Kim interrupted and said, listen, Mr. Park, we don't have a problem, but I want to talk with Miku in private, she said while looking at Miku, while Miku got confused and looked at Tai while he signed, and Miku and Mrs. Kim went to upstairs while everyone is waiting for them. Tai, how much you study, Mr. Park said, while Tai smiled and said, actually, I'm in the same class as Miku, he said, and Mr. Park nodded. So I think this is about to be the conversation where Tai's parents tell Miku to break up with him. Auntie, what, you want to talk with me? She said, and then Mrs. Kim looked at her and said, see, Miku, I'm saying everything clearly. Taeyoung needs to be successful, and I want him to be the #1 CEO, and you're blocking his way towards success, Mrs. Kim said while rolling her eyes. Then Miku got more confused and said, I'm blocking his way? How? Miku said, almost on the verge of crying. So she's not on the verge of crying. She's almost on the verge of crying. Do you think he will focus when he got married to you, huh? And what about his reputation, huh? You're from a poor, dirty family and he is #1 CEO's son. Oh my god, Mrs. Kim, you're such a bitch. She said while Miku looked at her unbelievably as a tear escaped from her eyes, and she wiped that and said, But I love him, and he also do, Miku said, while Mrs. Kim looked at her and said, so what? If you love him, then leave him for his career. I know why he doesn't want to join the CEO position, because if he joins, then he'll get busy, she said, and Miku looked at her and said, I don't have any time for your useless talk, Miku said, then Tai knocked on the door. Miku, Mom! Tai banged on the door while Miku wiped her tears while Mrs. Kim opened the door. Tai smiled to them and said, Miku, your appa is waiting for you, he said while she nodded and left with him. Mrs. Kim POV, oh gosh, this bitch. That witch! I have to plan something. Miku went downstairs and then Mr. Park asked Mrs. Kim, so what's your decision, Mrs. Kim? He said, and she said, I'm agree, she said, faking a smile while Miku looked at her and understand. Okay, then let's fix marriage on next week, Mr. Kim said, while Tai and Miku blushed, looking at each other. Yes, it will be, and one thing, I also don't have much money, so, cut off by Tai. Uncle, the wedding will be done by me, and I'll pay everything, so don't worry about money, he said, while Miku adored him and see his kind behavior. Okay, son, Mr. Park said, and left with Miku. The day before the wedding. Bro, Miku gave you this letter. Tai looked at James. Who the fuck is James? What is happening? Why is his name James? They're Korean. Like, Miku is a Japanese name, but I'll forgive it, because at least it's, like, on the same continent, you know? Okay, anyways. Tai looked at James, then snatched the letter and started reading while his eyes got widened. The letter fell from his hands while he kneeled down on the floor and started crying while James got confused. He held him and grabbed the letter and read it, and his eyes got widened too. I'm sorry, Taeyoung, but I can't marry you. I don't love you anymore. I know it's hard for you to move on, but do it for yourself. I'm leaving for this country tonight, and yeah, please don't contact me. Miku! You could have, like, told him what his mom said. Oh my god. Tai suddenly started searching his phone and pocket, and he found the phone and quickly failed her number, but she is not picking up. B dialed her number 100+ times, but each time she is not picking up. At last it shows switch off. Taeyoung dropped his phone. No, Miku, you can't leave me, the James said. Taeyoung, she's going out of Korea tonight, so let's go to her house now. James said, and Tai looked at him and then wiped his tears and get up while they both left to her house, and they reached her house and saw it's locked. And then Tai asked their neighbors, excuse me, sir, do you know where are Mr. Park and Miku? He said, and he replied, they left just in an hour, he said, and Tai and James both got shocked. Let's go airport, James, Tai said, and about to sit in car, but stopped when a guy said, it's a waste, because their flight is at 9 and it's already 10, he said, and Tai and James both nodded and then he left. Who said that? Who was that? James dropped Tai at his house while in whole ride he is crying and calling her each time, but each time it's showing switched off. They reached and Tai got off from car and went inside and saw the arrangements are going on as Tai got angry and throwing everything, but Mr. Kim stopped him. Taeyoung, what is this behavior? Mr. Kim said. Then Tai stopped and kneeled down and started crying. Then Mr. Kim panicked as he asked him, what happened, Taeyoung? Then Tai said, she left me. She left me. She said she doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't want to marry me, he said, sobbing hardly with hiccups. Who, Miku? Mr. Kim asked. Yes, Miku, Dad, he said. Then Mrs. Kim's voice echoed in the whole house. I told you, Tai, she said. Oh my god, this bitch. So she just manipulated Miku into dumping him and then was like, I told you she would. Oh my god, I hate her. Mom, he said, and then she come to him and said, I told you, but you're so in love with her. She lives your money, not you, she said. No, Mom, don't say anything to her. I think there is something she hide from me, he said. Then Mrs. Kim said, hide? Yes, she hides you everything. Useless brat. She don't love you, Tai, Mrs. Kim said, and Tai put his hands on his ear and closed his eyes while tears are falling. Please, Mom, please, don't, he shouted. Then Mrs. Kim said with straight face, I don't want to listen to anything, Tai. Tomorrow will be your marriage with my bestie's daughter, and yeah, I don't want to ruin our reputation, Mrs. Kim said. Oh, so Mrs. Kim arranged the marriage with Sia. Tai looked at Mom in disbelief and said, Mom, how can you do this? He said. What I'm doing wrong, huh? She left you and you don't even care for your reputation, huh? Now you're saying me this? Move on, Tai, she said and left. Tai, I think she was right. Move on, Mr. Kim said and left. These are the two most insensitive parents. Like, the love of this man's life just left, as far as Mr. Kim knows. And he's like, Yeah, I think you should just move on from that. Like, yeah, but it's same day, dude. Like, just give him a bit to be upset about it. I don't know. Ty's tears are falling nonstop. Ty took his step towards stair and then went to his room and closed the door, crying. No, Miku, I love you so much, he shouted from his room, and then Ty slept in messy state. Okay, so the wedding is the next day. Ty woke up and looked around, then remembered everything and picked up his phone to check if she messaged or not, but there is no message. He failed her number once again, but it's still switched off. Mrs. Kim knocked on his door, and Ty opened the door. Ty, how are you? She said, and Ty looked down. Mom, why you're here? He said. I brought dress-up artists and makeup artists, both of them, Mrs. Kim said. Why? He asked. Today is your wedding, Mrs. Kim replied. Mom, please, he screamed. You have to, for your parents, understand, she said and left. Ty stepped backwards and went to shower. He came after shower in t-shirts and baggy jeans. Miku, call me once, please. Then suddenly his phone rang as he looked up caller ID and it's from James. His smile dropped. He picked up the call and said, What happened, James? Ty said. Ty, Miku messaged me, James said. Oh my gosh, that's drama. Who is James? What? What she said, Ty said. She said that she is dating someone and that's why she left you, James said. What? Ty fell in bed and then said, Tell her that I move on from her, Ty said and cut the call. That's savage, Ty. Good job. Time skip at wedding. Ty come downstairs, whole ready, but he shows no emotions. Mrs. Kim and Mr. Kim smiled, looking at him, and then after some time, Sia also came with her appa and stood opposite to Ty. Then priest started rituals. Meanwhile, Ty shows no emotions. Skipping rituals. Sia, I do. Priest, do you take Lee Sia as your lawfully wife? That's very funny. Ty, nothing. He doesn't say anything. Mrs. Kim, say Taeyang, don't be shy. Ty, I closed his eyes while a tear escaped from his eyes. Do open his eyes. Then they got married. Okay, that was a really long flashback, but I feel like that really helped us get some perspective as to what's going on here. I do find it interesting, though, that he and Sia ended up getting each other's names tattooed on them. Like, I guess it worked out because they probably fell in love down the line. I mean, I wouldn't do that for someone who I didn't love. Anyways, we're going back to Miku's POV. Miku POV. I run to my room and open the door, but got surprised as the room is full of flowers and balloons, and then I step inside and I saw a big sorry on big balloon. And there is also one sorry card with her fave chocolate. I'm sorry, Miku. Please forgive me. Enjoy the chocolates. Okay, so Mance is just full out trying to buy her love here. This is kind of love bombing Taeyong. I mean, you can't just buy forgiveness from somebody who you abused. That's very cringe of you. Anyways, I smiled, then my smile faded away when I got flashback of that tattoo. I got angry and burst out the balloon and started shattering everything in anger. And then at last I looked at letter and chocolate, and I threw chocolate and tear off the card and then get on my knees and started crying. I hate you, I hate you. If you hate me that much, then I hate you too. Yes, I hate you. Okay, Miku, let it all out, girl. She wiped the tears and cleaned her room, then went for shower. After shower, she changed in something comfy, and then she left downstairs to get some snacks. Ty POV. I'm working on laptop in couch while Gio is watching TV. Suddenly his eyes fell on Miku, who is coming from upstairs, and then she left to kitchen and she brought some snacks with her. Mommy, let's watch TV together, Gio said, and Miku smiled softly and nodded. Yes, baby, let's watch, she said, and sat on couch while Ty is glancing at her time to time, and she is laughing and giggling with Gio, while Ty is smiling with hitting his face into laptop without noticing anyone. Time skipped to dinner. Baby, are you not hungry? She asked Gio, and Gio nodded while in sleepy face. Okay, let's eat dinner then, she said, and pick up Gio, and then about to go. Then she said, not looking at Ty, dinner is ready. She's so savage. You go, Miku, I'm proud of her. She said and left without giving any glance to him. That made him confused, but he understands after some times. At dining table. Three of them sitting on chair while Miku is feeding dinner to Gio and eating with that too while Ty is looking at them happily. Mummy, chili, chili, she said while jumping from chili she eat accidentally. She made chili? Okay. Miku quickly gave her water and then caressed her back while Ty also got stand up and looked at Gio worriedly while Gio got calm and said, I'm fine, Mommy and Daddy, she said while Miku and Ty both got relieved. Then they finished dinner and Miku take Gio in her arms and take her in her room and then lay her down in her room. Then someone knocked on her door. Little did she know who is at the door. I think we know who's at the door. I'm pretty sure it's Taeyong. This is his house, isn't it? Okay. She got up from the bed and went to open the door and found Tai. I'm here to say Gio goodnight, he said while Miku said, she's already asleep. She said, and Tai nodded, and then she is about to close the door, but Tai stopped her. Miku, listen, I know you're upset, but that tattoo, Tai cut off by Miku. That doesn't affect me, Mr. Kim Tae-young, because I don't belong to you, right? She said. Miku, it's not like that, but you're the one who left me, not me. That is fair. He's got a point, but she was kind of forced to, so they kind of just have different information right now. Don't say anything without knowing any truth, she shouted at him. Then tell me the truth. Tell me, he said. You won't believe me, Kim Tae-young, she said and closed the door in front of his face. So she's using his full name because she's mad at him, I guess. Tai POV, I don't believe. Who just believed her for fucking 5 years in relationship and she said I don't believe her, wow. Wait. Oh my god, guys, I just made a horrible realization. Okay, so Gio is about 5 years old, right? And when Tae-young got married to his wife, he was 24. Okay, everyone with me? So, he and Miku were in a relationship for 5 years, so when they started dating, Tae-young was 19. Miku is canonically 5 years younger than him. She's 25 at this point in the story, which means she was 14 when they started dating, if I'm doing my math right. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, nothing's gonna fix Tae-young for me now. I was kind of proud of him for apologizing, but like, fuck him. That's horrible. I hope my math is wrong, but he married Sia 6 years before present day. So Miku would have been 19 when he married Sia and when they broke up. And they were dating for 5 years. Oh my god, no! Okay, let's just finish this chapter, alright? Next morning, Tae-young woke up and took a shower, but then changed into some comfy and then went to Miku's room, but he saw the doors already open. He opened the door lightly and found Gio, who was sleeping on bed while a note is placed on table. He picked up the note and read it. I'm going to my best friend's house. I didn't make breakfast, so prepare it for yourself, and yeah, I made Gio a milkshake. Give it to her too. Savage. She made Gio a milkshake and didn't make shit for Tae-young. You go, Miku. Fuck him. Miku's POV. He read it and then smiled, then wake up Gio. Appa, just for 5 minutes, she said. No, your mom prepared your favorite milkshake. Why are we doing Miku's POV? I thought she left already. Okay, whatever. He said, and then she wake up, and then Tai pick up her in his arms, and then after shower, they left downstairs, and Tai give Gio a milkshake, and Tai made his own breakfast, and then eat that. Baby, let's go to your grandma and grandpa, he said. Why, Appa? She said. Your Appa have to attend his friend wedding too, he said. Okay, let's go, she said. Alright, that's the end of the chapter, and I think we're gonna stop here because I'm getting irrationally angry at this. Oh no. Alright, you ready to read some comments here? I don't feel sorry or bad for Miku. She doesn't have brain in her head. That's why she did what Tae-young's mother told her to do instead of talking it with Tae-young. Not anyone come between their relationship, even his mother, but all she did was to destroy her own relationship. She bring it on herself. She was 19. She was 19. 19-year-olds, I am not 19 anymore, but I was once, and I was not at my decision-making prime when I was 19. Oh my gosh. How Miku and Tai have a 5-year age gap, but they are in the same class? Yeah, that's actually a good point. Thank you, Pooja-sri. You're real for that. Did the author reply? No, they were in 5 years of relationship? No, that's not true because... Okay, you know what? I'm gonna prove it wrong. No, look, okay? Look at this. Chapter 1. Kim Tae-young, age 30. There he is. Park Miku, age 25. Alright. He groomed her. They started dating when he was 19 and she was 14. And they broke up when he was 24 and she was 19. No. No, 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 no. I thought this story was just bad because it has domestic violence in it and we're romanticizing that. And now I find out that this man groomed her and we're supposed to be okay with that. I can't do this. I really want to read and see what happens with this whole gangster side plot, so I might read this again next week. But I'm mad. Oh my god. All right. That's enough of this shitty fan fiction for today. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.